Hiya has a new release, but careful, it hisses. Here's your look at the brand new Hiya toys, G.I. Joe Cobra Commander. The leader of Cobra is the most treacherous and despicable criminal the world has ever known. Cobra Commander has channeled his boundless ambitions into building a worldwide criminal organization with one goal: global domination at any cost. Highly intelligent and dangerously unstable, wields a strange form of charm that can twist intentions and morals, making his poisonous words seem plausible and relatable, and masking the true motives behind his treachery. With our designer's secondary creations of Cobra Commander, we bring new image to him. He wears his blue battle suit with Cobra logo, stands at 4.1 inches tall with 17 points of articulation for posability. The face mask and part of his helmet are painted in silver. The mark on the belt, the edge of the gloves, and the Cobra mark on his chest are accented in red. Accessories include 4 interchangeable hands, 1 pistol, 1 snake engraved with a snake head, symbolizes the identity of the gold-painted scepter and knife. Hail Cobra Commander! The great snake rules forever. Just before, of course, we get a closer look at the brand new G.I. Joe Cobra Commander, I'd like to thank, if I can, the folks over at Hiya Toys that provided the sample we could have a look at. Cobra Commander isn't out yet, but he'll be coming out soon. The figure's, though, going to stand at almost 4 inches in height, or the not-so-successful leader of Cobra stands at about 10 centimeters tall. Beaming down some other offerings from the folks over at Hiya. First, here's what the figure looks like with the Star Trek 2009 Captain Kirk, a line that we've just recently looked at here on this channel. We can also as well bring in a whole bunch of other things we've gotten from Hiya Toys. So here's what the figure looks like with, say, RoboCop. Here's what he looks like with Judge Dredd. Here's what he also looks like with the Berserker Predator. And seeing as we are looking at a G.I. Joe of this size, probably would make some sense to bring in an offering that we've also got from Hasbro in the past. Here's what the figure looks like with the 25th anniversary of Cobra Commander. At least from his helmet, I'm getting some G.I. Joe Resolute vibes from the design of Cobra Commander here. The figure for accessories does come included with a display stand that's really no different from the regular stands we've gotten from before. The stand does have slots on the back. It does have them on the sides and on this side here. So basically you can attach these eye brackets. You get 2 of them after all, and they plug in place here. Now, I had some struggles actually when it came to the Star Trek ones. I was having no struggles at all when it comes to these ones. They just plug in place, and when you have multiples of these, you can, of course, attach them this way. You can attach them this way. Oh, what? Yeah, you can attach them here and attach them here as well. So you can really build a large terrain depending on how many of these figures you actually pick up. Removing the eye brackets. Show you guys, though, the lay of the land. You can see there's some bullet casings here. There's a peg right there that can, of course, plug into either one of the boots of Cobra Commander. It's a nice looking display stand. If you didn't want to use it necessarily for G.I. Joe, that would be also an ideal stand to be displayed with, say, your Predators. So let's move that off to the side. The figure then also includes some swappable hands. I was kind of surprised, in fact, that they actually used these hands inside the packaging and not just put them on the ends of his forearms. Usually things like gestured hands are always like the things that come in the side compartments, and those would be things, of course, you're going to change out a little bit later. The figure does have already a gripping hand on one side, but then he does have, ordering his troops, he does have a pointing hand. Very nice. But if you wanted to, though, and you wanted to have him wielding weapons on both sides, then the figure does come included with 2 gripping hands or 2 trigger firing hands. Changing out the hands, by the way, is just a case of, like, so you already basically have a gripping hand on this side. But let's just say for this, and it also helps as well to show you guys how these work. Just going to pop that off the provided peg. Find, of course, the hand that you want to use, and just plug it in place. Now, a little bit of twisting may be required on your part. I did notice getting the hands out of the packaging that the holes seemed a little smaller. So you may, in fact, have to kind of twist them a little bit to get them in place. Now he's got himself a gun shooting hand on the other side. Speaking of guns, by the way, Cobra Commander does come included with some familiar guns that we've maybe seen before. He gets this blaster that was packed, a similar design gun like this was packed with the original G.I. Joe Cobra Commander way back in the 80s. The 25th anniversary has followed suit. I think every time a Cobra Commander has been designed looking like this, you generally get a gun that looks like this. The only thing about it, though, is there's no storage space that I can see where the gun should store. In the earlier days for Cobra Commander, if you flipped around the back of the figure, there usually would have been like an indentation on the back of his body that you would just kind of embed this into his body, and then he would be able to hold the gun that way. I'm just looking on the back of Cobra Commander here for the 25th anniversary. And again, you can see right there, although it's not as subtle, obviously, when they're painting it gold like this, but obviously it still has a place here. I don't know, and I would imagine it probably isn't going to store. Yeah, it's not the right size. But yeah, Cobra Commander tend to have that on the back of his body. This Cobra Commander doesn't have it, though. And if you're thinking to yourself, well, he must surely have a holster on the side. First, don't call me Shirley. He doesn't. He has a pocket, large pocket right here, which would have been then the ideal place to store the gun. He has, though, a holster on this side, but the holster is there to hold the knife. So the only option really is to have this displayed in his hand, or you're just out of luck. You get the hand and you get the blaster and just plug it in place. It's just, not so much plugging in place. You're basically fitting it down the hand. And he holds it okay. I mean, again, you can get the trigger finger right around where the trigger would be on the gun. Pew, 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 pew. Removing that right now. Yeah, it's just really strange that they didn't find a place to store this on the figure's body. Even on the back would have been an ideal place. Even if they had put like a peg right here and a hole right here, I mean, that's simple shapes. You could just plug it in that way. And it would have been perfectly in line with the belt strap here. But there's no place that I can see at all on the figure. There is, however, storage space, at least for the next accessory. The figure comes included with as you can see, a King Cobra hooded, because he's got the hood out there, like the little side fans there on the very end of the knife. The knife itself also does fit in his hand, so, obviously it goes without saying, I'm sure, but I'll do it anyway. So you just get the knife and put it into his hand like that. Cobra Commander can wield himself a knife, or, of course, you can take the knife and just on the side here, there's a little holster. So you just take that and slide it all the way down. Funny enough, though, he came out of the packaging with the knife already slotted in place. So I thought for a second, oh no, I hope these are actual accessories that you can remove. And in fact, you could. It belonged right there. The last thing that the dear Cobra Commander does come included with, I feel like I'm saying it like Destro, my dear Cobra Commander. You can see he does come included with the snake serpent scepter. Probably they need to put serpent in there. But the snake scepter, although I would say it's a little on the shorter side. I wish this was maybe just a little bit longer. And of course, that does fit into his hand as well. Likely going to be displaying this figure on the shelf. I would have loved also if they had found a way to include a cape. Just, I think a cape would have been a nice added touch to the Cobra Commander. Of course, you would probably had to have taken off the head, put the cape on there, but just a little pink or purple cape on the back of his body. Yeah, that would have been ideal. Removing the scepter, though, and putting it off to the side. Getting a closer look at Cobra Commander. Now, I did say that already. He kind of gives me that G.I. Joe Resolute vibe. I think it has more to do with the side parts to his helmet. Cobra Commander does usually have that, but when we look at that, like, for example, the 25th anniversary Cobra Commander, a lot of the helmet usually is at the back. These little side pieces does add a little bit more character and charm to the figure's face, if you want to call it that face. I was once a man. Here's where I would say I would have done something a little bit differently. Now, obviously, he's chrome dome. He's got chrome finish there on the front of his face. I don't know if I necessarily would have put it right here. Cobra Commander does tend to have this little landing strip of silver, but I probably would have painted it in silver and not relied on the chrome. The moment you put it up here, I feel it takes away from here, and it kind of gives me the idea that this is an open part to his helmet, and this literally sits over top of his dome face. You can even see how shiny that face is. Hey, I think you can even see me in there. Head sculpt overall looks really quite good. I feel like maybe perhaps the neck is a little too long. Now you can kind of fix that by just bringing the head down a little bit, so it kind of breaks up some of the length of the neck. If you have it just straight up like this, I feel like the neck looks a little too tad long for Cobra. Of course, it does have a lot of decent posability. We'll talk more about that in a moment. It does have, of course, a little Cobra symbol there off to the side. He's got a little bit of gold trim there to the side as well. He also has this whole, kind of a bandolier belt here that wraps around the front. This doesn't attach in any ways at all. I thought that maybe it could have detached this way. I suppose you could probably take the body off and then maybe try to remove the belt, because it looks like the belt is separate from the rest of his pants. I don't know why you'd really want to do that, because at the end of the day, Cobra Commander really does need his belt. I mean, not only does it keep his pants up, but it stores all the various things that he probably would be carrying around with him anyways. He's got a little symbol there on the front that looks less like a Cobra symbol. It looks more like a steering wheel. But I don't know if I love this. It just sits a little on the loose side for Cobra. It's got some decent detail. I love the red that they've added here to the tops of his gloves. He's got the Cobra symbol off to the side there as well. It's a really nice looking Cobra Commander, and some nice pinstriping down the sides of his legs as well. From a proportion standpoint, my 25th anniversary Cobra Commander has, over the years of having this guy on display, it's developed some serious looseness in the legs. But just to put the two side by side, you can see that Hiya's offering is a little bit taller. Proportionately as well. You can see he's got a much larger head, a much broader looking torso as well, but very much the same similar things that what Cobra Commander is known for having. If you were to check the boxes off, Cobra Commander has to have this, he has to have this, he has to have this, unless you want to go with the hooded head. I know nobody's really going with the hooded head anymore. He looks the part, and he does fit the part rather nicely. Now for the figure's articulation here, starting back though with Cobra Commander's head, the head is going to rotate all the way around. The head also seems to have a fair decent amount of ball joint action here. I thought initially though the neck would be able to move, but if you're looking at it, the neck seems to be part of the rest of his body. So like getting in there, it doesn't look like it actually moves independently, but the head certainly does move, and it moves quite a lot. Again, if you want to kind of break up the look of having the figure with such a long neck like this, you can kind of bring the head down just a little bit. It does mean that he's looking a little bit lower, but at least it doesn't give him a very long neck. Arms do rotate all the way around. You can bring the arms out at 90 degrees, both sides, both sides. The figure does have also a swivel in the bicep. Well, I shouldn't say that swivel in the bicep. He has a swivel up here in his arm and his shoulder. He has more of a swivel here down where the elbow meets. And then, of course, you got the elbow bend there as well. The hands do rotate all the way around. If you're familiar with like the 25th anniversary line of G.I. Joes, or all like the subsequent 3 3/4 inch size G.I. Joes, the territory that they're going to cover with articulation is pretty much the same articulation right here. He doesn't have an O-ring. I mean, I think some of the later Hasbro stuff that we were just recently getting, they were kind of going back to the idea of O-rings, but this guy doesn't have an O-ring, so there's obviously less likely that that rubber is going to deteriorate and break over time. Instead, what he has is traded out as a ball joint. So as you can see already, I mean, how much I'm easily able to rotate the torso all the way around. It looks down, it looks up. You can also move it back and forth as well. But the only problem with that, though, is first of all, he's got these two belts going on, so you kind of always want to really keep them close together, because the moment you arch him back like this, it looks like he's got a belt that's riding all the way up, like he's, I don't know, like he's wearing like, I don't know, a garter, like a, I don't know, what do they call them? Little things that, I don't know. You guys will let me know down below. Anyways, he does have this. It's a little on the looser side. I just would have really rather if they could have just attached this all together. I kept like looking around. Is there a way to detach this from his belt? It's about the only thing I would have probably just done away with altogether. I guess it does bring a little bit more detail, something to look at with the eyes. I just find though that it just flops around a lot, especially when you're moving the figure around. The legs split out like this. You can take the legs and move forward. You can move them back. They do drop down also as well. So not that they're necessarily planning to release vehicles, but the legs do at least drop, give a little bit more mileage when it comes to motions of the legs. You can bring the arms out as well. There's a swivel there at the top of the thigh. A double hinge on the knee, which is, of course, always good to see. And then he's got articulation here in the ankle. So the ankle, it's a little admittingly limited. I mean, you can still move it up and down, but when you're rocking and stuff, there feels like there's some resistance. And it may have something to do with the fact that the pant leg goes as low down as it does. I mean, you can move it back and forth, but you're not moving as much as maybe you would want. All in all, though, good-looking Cobra Commander. Now, Hiya has sort of taken the reins when it comes to 3 3/4 inch G.I. Joe figures. Hasbro still seems to be doing the classified series. And I think they're actually in good hands. The only thing about it, though, is that Hiya is asking a little bit more for their figures. Though, truth be told, though, most of the listings for Cobra Commander seem to have the figure priced at around $19.99. So it's a little higher than standard size figures of this size, at least. But on average, though, especially with inflation, figure companies across the board, small size or larger scale, all seem to be increasing their prices also. So, I mean, like a $19.99 Cobra Commander, if this is the market of stuff that you're into collecting, if like for G.I. Joes at least, you prefer to collect really the smaller scale figures, I mean, I don't think a $19.99 figure is all that bad. Of course, comparing him with the Cobra Commander here from the 25th anniversary, a lot of similar designs, a lot of similar deco. I do like the look of this one, though, a little bit more. Not crazy necessarily about the bandolier. I would have really loved instead that the top of his helmet could have been a painted silver rather than relying on the chrome, because I think the moment you start to put chrome up here, it sort of starts to take away from the front of his face. The focal point, the whole reasoning why you're probably looking at Cobra Commander is not only just to laugh at the fact he loses all the time, but it's probably more so just to look at the fact he has a chrome dome on the front of his face. I think by adding that also on the top of his helmet probably takes a little bit away from that. All in all, though, I'm really happy with the way that the figure looks. I would have liked if there could have been also some storage space, perhaps for the gun. I mean, not necessarily that we have to put a little indentation on the back of his body. That was a little silly back then. It's still silly now. But at the very least, I mean, he's got a pocket right there. If that had only been a pocket that could have also served as, say, storage for this, then he could have been easily able to store all of his accessories, short of perhaps the snake scepter. Trying to track down the whereabouts of Cobra Commander seemed to be an impossible feat. Places that tend to already list Hiya Toys brand products don't list Cobra Commander at all. The places, though, I'm able to find him give misleading information. One site actually said he was delayed till the third quarter of 2023. Well, anybody even looking at an outdated calendar would know that it's not 2023. Some sites, in fact, actually just say pre-order delayed till Q1. Well, what year in Q1? So as of right now, much like the Sunbow series, Cobra Commander has just vanished off the the face of this earth. So I would certainly say keep your eyes peeled if you guys are interested to get this guy for yourself. The listings that at least are in the U.S. showed this guy as being $19.99. The Canadian listings, though, what I'm able to find, show him going for $32.99. So Hiya toys tend to be a little bit higher, but I definitely feel there's a quality happening here with the figure. The articulation is on par with what we got with already, like the 25th anniversary, and all the G.I. Joes of this similar size. There's definitely a lot more. I feel like the paint's handled better here, and the plastic quality feels good. I like that they've also added a chrome finish to the front of what would be his face, although I don't think, again, it necessarily needed it on the top of his helmet. The accessory count for what he has, he gets 3 things, if you don't really include the hands and display stand: a scepter, a knife, at least the knife can be holstered, and he also comes included with a pistol. Strange, really, again, like there's no place to store the pistol. You would think that it could have been holstered on the side of his leg. No, that's not the case. And it obviously can't be displayed on the back of his body. I mean, it's not... Cobra Commander was never one for subtlety, and just basically embedding a pistol in the back of your body, I don't think it's going to be fooling anybody. But he's definitely well worth picking up if eventually this guy does get listed. Again, I'd like to thank the folks over at Hiya Toys that were kind enough to provide the sample of the brand new Exquisite mini-series G.I. Joe Cobra Commander. I don't know why I have to keep saying Cobra Commander like that. That we had the chance, yes, to have a look in this review. What do you guys think of this figure? Let me know down below in the comment section. Is this a pickup the moment you see this guy listed? Let me know what you think of him. Also, if you guys did enjoy this video, do it a solid, throw it a like. You guys want to stick around for more so? I hope so. We're wrapping things up right now for Cobra, but at least we are going to be continuing our journey with Hiya Toys. There's going to be a couple more reviews coming up this week, so make sure, of course, you're hitting that subscribe. You're making sure you're turning on the bell notification, and then the most important thing is that you're coming back. As always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.